Well, guys, a big event calls for a bigger set here on Java with James. Indy 500 edition. Yes, we have stepped out of the Honda hospitality. We are here on the victory podium in the beautiful Fox Sports stage. And I am joined by, I think this is a historic first on the show. I think this is the first non-driver that we've had on Java with James.
Wow.
Although
I'm honored.
Although I do know that you did some driving once and you beat Nicholas Latifi in a race, but we're not going to touch on that. That's not important.
I raced for Prema.
Nobody cares, Will.
I raced for Prema.
How does that make you feel that your team got pole position for the Indy 500?
Amazing. Just
You
imagine
can't
what
say that. You're an unbiased journalist.
Just imagine what I could have done in the car.
A lot of damage.
Yeah.
Will, a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
Okay, welcome to Java with James.
Thanks, mate.
Do you understand the concept?
We drink coffee and talk.
Okay. Do you know why we drink coffee?
Tell me.
Because I hate coffee.
I know you do.
And
yet you still have an espresso before almost every broadcast that we do.
that's for the caffeine, not for the
there's more
coffee.
caffeine in a cup of tea than there is in a coffee.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true.
I also don't like tea.
But we've got proper Yorkshire tea
Doesn't
backstage. No?
I like the espresso because it's the least amount of liquid.
Oh, you get it done quick.
And just get it over with in one go.
That makes sense.
So our guests get to pick the type of coffee, and then I have to drink it because they're hell-bent on having me find a kind that I like. We're 0 for, what, like 20-something?
Well, you know I like sugar.
I do know you like sugar, based on, well, knowing you for a long time.
A long time.
But specifically the concoction that you created in the booth this week.
That just came to me.
Tell the people what you did.
So I like Twizzlers a lot.
Some would say too much.
Some would
Doctors,
say.
mainly.
Yeah, and my wife. But I also really like Twinkies.
Yeah.
And you can't get them. You can't get either of those things in England.
Nor should you.
Nor
be able
should you.
to.
So T3, our amazing security guy, bought me a box of Twinkies. And I was just enjoying my first mouthful of Twinkie. And then thought, what if I put a Twizzler inside the Twinkie?
As you do.
So I poked it into the creamy bit in the middle of the Twinkie. And invented a twinkler.
The Twinkler.
The twinkler.
The Twinkler.
Yeah, it's a real thing, folks. Try the twinkler. It's a taste sensation.
Tragically, it is now a real thing. Okay, so with your propensity for
Yes.
ingesting sugar, what is this?
An iced caramel latte.
Okay. All right, I like caramel.
Yeah. It kind of takes the edge off the sort of sourness of the coffee. You know, you have to, come on, don't be scared. It's really good. Is that annoyingly good?
No, it is absolutely not that. It tastes like slightly less offensive coffee. But again, we're started at a very high level of offense.
But it's like non-alcoholic beer, right? No one drinks beer because they like the taste.
I literally had a non-alcoholic beer last night.
Why? Just have a soda. Like
That no.
yeah,
no.
Like
God.
no one drinks beer because they go, ooh, that's a nice tasting beer. It's like all of these like bougie, small batch. Oh, here's a grapefruit IPA.
Right.
Who's drinking these things?
No, I'm
Like,
with you on that. It shouldn't be fruit flavored.
No.
Beer should be beer flavored because it actually does taste good
No, it doesn't.
to some people, myself included.
No.
Yep,
Yeah, but you drink bourbon.
I do.
Also weird. Not a good flavor.
It's weird that I can drink bourbon neat, but I find this
Yeah.
too bitter and gross a flavor.
I find that odd.
That is actually, I never thought about it like that. That is
Yeah.
weird.
It's good, right?
This is less offensive. This is probably in my top. I'm making a top 3. I think you're on the podium. I think you're on the podium.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll take it. Honda do actually make beautiful coffees down in their hospitality.
The best, I'm told. I feel bad I throw so many of them away.
Well, I haven't yet tried their white chocolate iced latte, which is supposedly incredible.
T3's favorite.
T3's favorite.
All right.
Yeah.
Will Buxton, how are you, man?
I'm great. I'm kind of like still 98% full of adrenaline.
Okay.
Having just done 2 days of actually an entire week of practice and qualifying. We were on out for what, 37 hours?
We've run 37 hours on air as of time of recording.
We're going to complete the full 40 today.
Yes, we're gonna round up.
Nice.
Okay, well, we're gonna get to the 500.
Man. I'm. You've known me a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think I've ever been this, happy and content. I'm loving every second of it, mate.
So let's step back a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, people know you from a lot of different things. Hopefully they know you now from Indy 500 broadcasting,
Yep.
IndyCar broadcasting, of course, your time in Formula One, Drive to Survive, all that. But where did it all start?
God, you're such a professional, aren't you? You're so good at this.
It's really hard when you ruin, I'm trying to be like you here, you're ruining the flow. Where did it all start for old Billy Buxton back in England?
I was like 3 or 4 years old, and my parents took me to the Prescott Hill Climb.
Oh, okay.
That was the first time I'd ever seen
Cars in action.
racing cars and smell castrol and the smell of burning rubber and, oil and just what a grungy paddock smells like. And I was hooked on the thrill of speed and danger and started watching Grand Prix at home, like age 4. And actually, when my dad died, I was going through loads of his stuff and found this page that he had in one of his drawers, and it was a little drawing I'd done after that day at Prescott Hill Climb of little cars and stuff. It was like, today, Mummy and Daddy took me to see racing cars or whatever. I must have been older than 3 because I was writing it. I don't know.
Either that or you're a very advanced kid.
Yeah, but that was it, man. I was hooked, and I grew up watching Formula One on the BBC back in England. Murray Walker doing the commentary. Sundays were just, Mum would cook a lovely, hearty roast lunch, about 3 different desserts. I think that's where my love of sugar came from, definitely. She's always asked Dad, what dessert would you like? And his reply was always, yes, please. So he'd have a little bit of each.
Okay, runs in the family.
That's definitely where it came from. We'd just then retire into the living room and watch Grand Prix, and that's where it came from.
A lot of people have a passion for a sport without ever really thinking that working in it is what they want to do or even a possibility. So at what point did your love of motorsport become a aspirational career?
It was 1994, May. Senna was killed at Imola, and he was my hero. And my dad bought me my first copy of Autosport magazine that week. And I read it cover to cover and knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write about the sport that I loved. I never had any dreams of doing TV. That's what Murray Walker did.
Right.
I just wanted to write about it. So set myself on that path, age 13, that I wanted to write about Formula One. And that was, that's the only dream I ever had.
So 13, you've made this decision. At 13, what path did you kind of lay out for yourself? Like, okay, here's what I'm going to do next. Here's how I get to here, and then ultimately end up.
Mate, it's mad. And the crazy thought is, my daughter is 15, and I see her as still so young and with so many opportunities and different paths that she can go down. The world is hers to do whatever she wishes in it. I can't imagine her being so set on something right now, let alone 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
My cousin was a journalist, and so I asked him advice, like, what do I do? How do I get here? And he said, don't do a media studies degree, don't do a journalism degree, because at the time they were crap in the UK. Like they were like a joke degree. He was like, just do something you love and something that will allow you to write and research and all the things you need to be a journalist. So I studied politics because I was an argumentative little and
still are.
Yeah. So I did a politics degree. I wrote my politics thesis on the politics of Formula One. Dreadful.
That's smart, though. I mean, that's kind of tying your your passion to your schoolwork.
Yeah, but I tried to argue that Formula One was like a nation state without territorial boundaries because it had a governance structure and a constitution and all of this kind of things, and we could learn about democratic process for this form of democracy that didn't exist anywhere else because the FIA president wasn't elected by the people over whom he governed the drivers, the teams, and all of that. He was elected by the ASNs. So It was a
deep.
ludicrous foundation
That's
for
deep.
for a university thesis.
I
But
like
they almost failed me on it because it was that bad. But I sent it to David Tremaine at Formula One magazine, and he gave me a couple of weeks' work experience. And I turned up on the last day of work experience with a sleeping bag and a pillow and said, I'm not leaving. And they gave me a job.
I absolutely love that story. So immediately just start out of university?
Straight out of uni, I was working in a bar. I got a call from David saying, we need some help doing the end of year annuals. Remember them?
No.
You're younger than me. I went and did 2 weeks work experience and then became a staff writer. And that was 2002.
So that started a 20-plus
Yeah.
year career chasing around Formula One, writing for different publications.
Yeah.
At some point in there, you got your first opportunity to be on the small screen. What was your first TV gig? How far into your career was that?
So I did 3 years running PR for GP2 when that started, which is now known as Formula 2, which was replacing Formula 3000, which itself had replaced Formula 2. Nice. It's like
It's a circle.
Indy Lights, Indy Next, when I was leaving that and going back to journalism, Jason Swales over at the BBC asked me to come do Wales Rally GB. So my first broadcasting was actually on the radio for the World Rally Championship. And then I got a mad panicked phone call one day at the Chinese Grand Prix because GP2 had an offshoot, which was GP2 Asia, and it ran at the same time as the Speed Car Championship. Do you remember that? Jacques Villeneuve, John Lacey, running really beaten up, crappy NASCARs.
Yes.
Like, they were terrible on Grand Prix tracks. It was like a Grand Prix Legends tour in beaten up old NASCARs. And the supercar people would do commentary for GP2 Asia, but they'd suddenly realized there was no supercar race that weekend, so they didn't have a commentator. They needed a commentator for GP2 Asia, who knew more about GP2 than anyone in the world, me, because I'd been press officer for 3 years. Do you want to do the commentary? Okay, I'll give it a go. Did practice, and just as a rehearsal, and they were like, yep, great, you're doing commentary for qualifying, so I did that, broadcast that globally, then did the race. Never done commentary on anything in my life, didn't know what I was supposed to do. Solo comms, no co-commentator.
Right.
And then went back and did the whole year of the main GP2 series the next year. Again, no co-commentator. Learned how to fill for rain delays. I did a 2-hour rain delay at Monza.
Solo.
I ended up asking myself questions, like split personality thing. And then at the end of the year, I get a call from the States because Peter Windsor, who was the pit reporter on Speed Channel, was going off to do the US F1 team. They'd heard my GP2 commentary, loved it, and said, do you want to be our new pit reporter? So I went over to Charlotte, met up with Dan Schutte, Frank Wilson, Rick Miner, got the job, and that was it. That was my first... that was my first network TV job, but I just came out of doing the world feed in GP2.
It's fascinating how you sort of fell into it in a way,
But
right?
you know what it's like? I mean, it's the same, I guess, for you as a racer. When those doors open and those opportunities present themselves, you jump in the seat, you strap in and you go.
Yeah.
And you have to make it work,
Yeah.
Because you don't know when another opportunity is going to come up.
You're doing some TV stuff, you're in the Formula One world, and then this little thing called Drive to Survive pops along.
Yeah.
They give you a call. It ends up being this global phenomenon. Everybody knows about the show. I don't care how it's made. I don't want the inside scoop on any of that. What I want to know, though, is, because of that show, your profile as a human being, as a celebrity, skyrocketed. It just exploded. How did that change your life in terms of just how did your days change when you went from Will Buxton, the guy that sometimes was on Speed Channel and wrote some articles for F1, to the voice of now the fastest growing sport globally? It must have been a big change.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly. Like, one side of it was amazing because all of these opportunities start coming up and kind of the awareness is lovely. And I never saw it as a reflection of my role in the show. I saw it as the growth of popularity of this thing that I loved, and I was just really happy to be a part of that. But then at the same time that your profile kind of rises, with the way that social media is, there's a very toxic, negative kind of sadness that is imbued with that. And I really struggled with that, and I found that really, really hard. And I had to kind of learn to, and I still haven't learned properly how to do it, kind of detach from that. And that for me was a shame, because I'd always loved interacting with fans, and that's what that medium presented sort of 10 years ago. And the last decade, it's really flipped the other way, where I kind of have to stop myself from interacting too much, because so much of it is negative and hurtful. And the loveliest thing is when somebody says, "Oh, I watched, watching Drive to Survive got me into the sport, made me fall in love with the sport, and there was something I didn't know," and then you pop up on the screen and you answer the question that I was just asking, and that's great, because that's what my role was,
right?
But I went from being a serious, or I hope seen as somebody who would go out and find stories and know what was going on, to almost being this figure of fun, and the memes they're funny, they're great, if it rains the track's wet and all that, and all these things that I never said. But at the same time, then you get a bunch of people who really dislike you.
Yeah.
Because they just see you as the meme and the joke, the butt of the jokes. And that's, all I wanted to do was get people excited about the sport that I loved.
Yeah.
And so to have people be really hurtful,
it's just such an unfair part of it.
It breaks your heart.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm sorry that's how that part of it turned out, but it comes with it, doesn't it? It's unfortunate. Now, you are a family man.
Yes.
You have 2 beautiful children, beautiful wife. You mentioned Sophie, your 15-year-old, and you have little Isla as well. Wife Victoria and Isla and Victoria are here with you in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and Soph's coming out for the 500 with her mum as well, which is going to be amazing.
So you're making your first 500 a whole family affair.
Big family affair.
How do they feel about you now being the voice of the IndyCar series?
Well, Isla doesn't really know what's going on, but she loves racing cars, and she loves, she's been here twice now. And she just loves it. I think she loves the noise and the excitement and the colours, and that's what got me hooked. So I'm making a rod for my own back here.
Yeah.
I'm in
very
big
much
trouble.
so.
I was saying yesterday as we were walking back to the car, I was like, "Do you like the racing cars?" "Yep." I was like, "Do you want to be a racing driver?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh no."
I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. It's so funny. She never really liked F1. Never really dug it, never watched anything I did in F1. Don't think she's watched a single episode of Drive to Survive.
That baffles me, that blows me away.
But she texted me while we were broadcasting qualifying for the 500, mainly during the piece that we did in the gym.
Yeah.
And she literally texted me and just said, "Dude, why are you in the gym?" And it's really lovely. And I spoke to her yesterday, and she was just like, "It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool listening to you on TV." And that means the world. That means the absolute world to me. So,
I love it.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to see her, because obviously we've been out here for almost a month now. So I haven't seen her, because she's got school and everything back in the UK. So I absolutely cannot wait. And her mum used to be press officer for Takuma Sato in F1.
Oh, cool.
So Taku being on the front row, and obviously they're coming out together. So it's absolutely huge.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
I love the enthusiasm with which you've embraced this change in your life and your career. The IndyCar series, especially around the 500, you've been just amazing and diving into the history of it all. And one of the things that has amazed me about you, I know that you're an artistic guy. You love music. You talk about music all the time. You reference, we drive into the track together, you'd put on, "Oh, you're gonna love this song." Never heard it, but did love it. Of a band I've never heard of, but did love them.
Usually extreme.
Yeah, you've got an eclectic taste in music. I did not know that you are also an artist.
I'm not.
You took a half-hour break in one of our 6-hour marathon days of commentating practice, you went out to the Pagoda Plaza and the first day you oil painted for the first time.
I'd never used oils before. It wasn't great.
The Pagoda, it was tremendous. But then you went to your, I guess, medium of choice, which is watercolors, and you've done a few other paintings.
Yeah.
In like 20 minutes, you just sit there and dude, these are incredible. You said when you were 3-4 years old and came back from that first hill climb, you drew a little picture of your day. Is this when it started? Because it's incredible.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Like it just.
So no lessons,
No.
just self-taught,
Yeah.
and you just draw.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm gonna make some work for the editors here. We're gonna throw up a shot of one of his paintings because they're absolutely amazing.
I haven't done anything for ages, and I just thought, where better than here to kind of start again. So I just find it relaxing. It's the same as music, you know. Like if I'm at home, I'll go and try and find 10-15 minutes in a day and just go and play the piano or play the guitar or whatever. And same with painting. It's something that's quite relaxing and cathartic, and yeah, I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. And thank you for being so kind. They're not great.
They're great. They're terrific.
They're terrific. It's something I enjoy. I just never find the time. You know? I never find the time to do it because we're so busy. And
Very busy.
I think people don't realize that it's not just a couple of hours each day when we're on air. There's so much work that goes into a broadcast, and not just production meetings or making sure that, you know, you're where you need to be, but it's particularly for me this year, you know, F1 for me, a lot of it went in via osmosis over 40 years. And I've always loved IndyCar. You know, I've always loved IndyCar. But that level of knowledge doesn't exist for me. So I've had to work.
Yeah.
And we only had 5 weeks between knowing I was going to have this job and the first race. So it's been a really intensive couple of months of just trying to cram everything in there that I possibly can, so that I'm as well prepared. And I'm never going to know everything, but just to try and be as well prepared as humanly possible. So there's no spare time, man. There's no spare time.
As someone whose career has been IndyCar racing, whose life has been IndyCar racing, whose passion is IndyCar racing, I can't tell you how comfortable I am with you being in charge of the broadcast.
Thanks, man.
The effort that I've seen you put in. Everybody, we're in good hands. We're in a good voice with this guy.
You're not going to drink that,
No,
are
I'm
you?
absolutely not going to drink it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure, man.
Thanks for all your efforts, for what you do for IndyCar. Really appreciate it. And if you're looking for Will on Sunday morning, he'll be zenning out in Pagoda Plaza painting before the big race, won't you?
I actually probably will.
I dibs that painting.
Okay, I'll get.
That's my souvenir. I want a souvenir from the.
You can have the oil one for the charity bash if you want. You can have it.
There you go. Love it. Thanks for coming
Cheers,
up.
mate.